You want to hear from God? Wish I had a magic formula for you, but it doesn't work that way. He does, however, promise to speak to us. And it says we'll recognize his voice. So I want to tell you about one of the many ways that he's spoken to me and how it took me by surprise, because it's not what I was expecting. In fact, I totally blew it off when I first heard him speaking to me, because I just rationalized that I made that up. So I'm in a really tough place in my life. This is 20 years ago now. And I'm at this church, wonderful church, and they love God. And you know this because they love people. And, or at least that's a pretty good clue. In this case, it was true. And there was this couple there that was back from being missionaries in some other part of the world. And they're missionaries to poor and broken people, like me at that moment. All I had is a bike. I had to cycle to church, but that's how bad I wanted it. And I remember the older gentleman saying, "We're gonna pray for you, and you're gonna hear from God tonight, buddy." Like, okay, I'm all for that. And so they prayed for me for like, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. And I distinctly remember big red letters, "I love you," and a big rock with a super sharp edge on it. And when they were done praying, they said, "Well, did God speak to you?" I'm like, nope. No, never spoke to me. And I honestly believed that I just made that up. But 2 weeks later, I'm reading my Bible. Very important point. If you want to hear from God in the present, pretty much have to tell him you want to hear from him by reading what he wrote to us in the past. Now, he wrote that through his people. That's a whole other video, but it's still from him. And so I read this verse, probably read it a dozen times. Never noticed it before, and this time it just jumped off the page at me because it had the big red letters over it. "I love you," and there was the rock that I saw when they were praying for me 2 weeks earlier. And the verse says, "Blessed is he who falls on the rock, for he will be broken to pieces. But on whom the rock falls, it will scatter him like dust." Oh, you mean that you're breaking me? Okay. Apparently I need to be broken. Can't argue with that. I mean, and it's working, by the way. God, yep. Broken right here. Good work. But, yeah, you know, it's one thing to go through something like that in life and lose everything. Your health, your wealth, your friends, your family. Not all of my family, but people I counted as family turning their back on me again. Sucks. Maybe you can relate. But to go through that, knowing that the King of the universe is actually using that in love somehow. And I didn't fully understand that at the time, but in trusting him, I knew that this thing I was going through was going to lead to something on the other side that only God could engineer. And he did. He brought me out of that deep, dark place. But he broke me in the process with a big sharp rock. Much better than being scattered like dust. So, yeah, what's the point, you guys? Point is, it's not a Jesus button. You don't just press it and hear from God. Need to hear from God now. No, it's not like that. We're dealing with the creator of the universe. The most loving, kind, and creative being that ever will be, that ever was. And he's going to do it whatever way he chooses. But we've got to put ourselves in a place, in our heart, in our surroundings. We got to quiet the noise, got to stop scrolling, And he might not speak to us on the first day. I've been on journeys where I went for 30 days praying every day, reading my Bible every day. And he spoke to me twice during that whole time. And in ways that I was pretty sure was him, but still it's hard to prove. And that's why he says to test every spirit, because there's lots of deceiving spirits out there as well. There's lots of deceiving computer algorithms too. So we can't just take for granted that anything we hear is from God. So we'll talk a lot more about that on this channel, but I thought that might be an encouraging story to share. Love to hear your story. Reach out to him. And if he speaks to you, or if he doesn't, let us know. Love to hear from you. Spaceball out.